Hey guys, welcome back to the Bear Trap Discord podcast. My name is John Kirby, my co-host is Vic. This is an episode mostly on trading psychology. We do have some charts up, we're not really using them. All those chart credits go to Auk. It's mostly because we recorded a couple this episode with the next one together, and now I'm splitting them up just to make it easier for you guys to listen to. But yeah, a lot of this is just trading psychology stuff, and it's some stuff that I wish I'd thought about more way earlier on. It's a lot of times it takes hitting your head against a brick wall for a while to realize. So I hope you guys appreciate it, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and yeah, enjoy.
But I think what it means to click is when you recognize what types of setups correspond to your personality as a trader, like where you mesh and where you like the niche that you feel you can inhabit. And what I wanted to say is, on longer time frames, I'm very confident with those, and I feel like I'm there. On shorter time frames, I'm not there yet. So I'm moving from my longer time frame trading to my shorter time frame trading so that I can get those to infuse the latter with the former. But the click is just that. I know that they can mesh. I know that they can become consistent because I've seen it again and again and again, and I've gone through the feelings again and again and again.
Yeah, and so to that point is, again, you're comfortable with your longer term plays probably because you've identified all the criteria for whatever system you're using. And like, one, psychologically, you're prepared for the fluctuations because you've already prepared for that ahead of time.
Yeah, I know exactly what my risk tolerance is, and my I mean, this is really boring stuff in some sense, but I know how much I have to allocate, or I can allocate, and every time I size up, which I've been doing incrementally, I feel the stress of that, right? And I know I love this one little criteria, and I think they mention it on the market huddle all the time. It's like, hey, if you can't sleep at night, you have too much risk on. It's that simple. But here's the other part they don't mention, which I kind of like, which is you should have as much risk on as you can sleep at night with.
Yeah, no, so you should push the pedal a little bit, not to the metal, but you should have the gas down, especially if you've got edge, right? You got edge. Yeah. That's something that I've been getting better with the future side. So let's go back to the short-term trading is, for whatever reason, you traded how many times? Like 120 times or something?
Oh man, don't expose me.
And so no, it's fine. You're not being exposed because everybody's like that. I mean, I'm like that too. But here's the thing: is like you got what? How many points did you get for 120 trades? That's in and out. That's scaling in and out. That's scaling. So it's really what? Maybe how many total trades was it? Like
let me do the math. Total trades, it was probably like a quarter of that. So it was 25 trades. And then I did...
That's 25 trades of you going through the scaling in, scaling out process.
Yeah, so I got 50 points.
50 points, okay. So same process for me, 2 trades, 40 points. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I'm just saying like this is the point, at least for intraday, that you can get to. You should strive to.
I believe that, dude, because I see it. Like when I look at a chart and I line up, okay, what are my SPY gamma levels telling me? With what are my, I like the standard deviations off VWAP. When they line up and you hit that, like, let's say you hit that bottom off the open, you can get that insta 40 points.
And these are taking trades after 9:30, after the initial balance. So like the last 2 weeks, I haven't taken a trade before the initial balance is over. So I don't trade the open. I don't trade pre-market. I don't trade events. I completely avoid events now. And so equity curve wise, we're just going to talk about, being consistent. Equity curve is literally like just left to right, straight up to the corner.
Yeah.
And so that's like that golden zone that everybody wants to be in. And how to get there. That's the next process.
So when did that, like, now focusing on the short-term stuff, right? Like when did that click for you?
I'll tell you.
How would you define the clicking?
When I realized I needed to sell my house, it was all psychological, because Like we
That's
go back to
interesting.
where, like, hey, how come I can't take profits when I need to take profits?
Yeah.
There's an issue there
It's
because
because you don't need them bad enough.
I didn't, I needed the money really bad, right? So it's all psychological. Everything about it is, and because everybody sees the trade, it's super easy. It's not hard for you to identify a trade. It's not hard for, I've been identifying trades, for 5 years, but the whole problem from going to being able to identify the trade, execute the trade, and become profitable consistently, it was all psychological. It was all stemming from either greed or stemming from fear of loss, stemming from all these other things. Because knowing to buy the dip at a certain level is not that not that hard. Why can't you do it though? And why can't you wait for it? That's another thing too.
Because you're not, because you want to trade, because you're not scared enough, because you don't need it bad enough.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where you're trading too much because you want more. You're greedy.
Mm.
Okay. And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general, because I've been
Oh man,
through.
I'll admit it. Like if I had 100 trades in a day, it's greed and loss aversion at the same time playing a role right there.
So it's like, how much money like if I was coaching somebody, I would say, like, how much money do you need to make your expenses, right? What's that number? Why do you need more money than that? So it's like, well, we're looking at this game as infinite. It's an infinite game where you can make as much money as you possibly want or need. And if I could just play every move in the market, then I could retire in like a year, right? And so, well, okay, well,
But
that's a
then what?
goal.
Then what? Then what?
That's a goal to have. Does it make any sense though?
No, you're totally right. And I've had this experience too, where, for instance, like I had a moment actually early this month in futures where over the course of 2 days I hit like what would have covered all my expenses for the month, right? Um,
In two
and I
days.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. So sorry to cut you off there. I'll let you finish the thought in a second.
go
But
for it.
you hit all your expenses in 2 days. Why trade anymore then?
I mean, it's because you're like, oh man, maybe as soon as you hit those two, you take them for granted and you're thinking about next month.
Yeah, but why not just take the month off?
That's what I should have done. I should have taken that, gone home, taken the month off,
Can
done something
people
else.
do that though? As a trader, it's like, can you sit there and not trade for 2 more weeks?
I mean, that sounds like hell to me, to be honest. Like just to if you tell me, hey man, like yeah, yeah, you can't trade for 2 weeks. I'm like,
It's
oh,
tough, man.
that
So
sucks.
another part of my transition from basically going, for what I feel like right now, I'm super in the zone. I even said it to my buddy the other day. I was like, I'm not even going to trade tomorrow. I'm like so on fire right now that I don't even want to, like, I'm willing to just take the day off at this point, because it's like there's no reason for me to push the envelope. And he
Yeah.
said something to me. He's like, well, if you're on fire, you should just freaking keep going, dude. Don't stop. That makes sense too. But it's like, I took like 2 weeks off of trading futures
Hmm.
and came back, and obviously I sold my house. I got more finances in order, this kind of thing, and that's helped me out a lot psychologically. But it's like taking the 2 weeks off, I forced myself not to trade futures. And not even options either. I took 2 weeks off. I really didn't even trade anything. I just bought some shares and stuff and just sat there and just basically realigned what my goals were first and foremost for trading. Because if your goals are going to tell you what your style should be, like what you should be doing during the day, you got 23 hours to make basically whatever your number is. You got 23 hours to take 2 or 3 trades to hit your number.
Yeah.
And so in your case, you've said it a couple times, a couple $100 a day is pretty much all you need.
It is, which is kind of
So
crazy.
you shouldn't even be trading a E-mini. You should be trading micros only, right? Are you trading full size?
E-minis, yeah.
There's no reason to. Why would you do that? Because you said you only need to make 200, and and you're going for the 2000.
It's just because it's that feeling too, where it's like, it's like, oh, I know I can. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and that's another thing too. Like I said, it's your goal. So if your goal is to make $1,000 a day and you only need 200, that's different.
Well, I think the way to to go back, like the way that I trade my big account actually resembles what you're talking about, where and I was telling you about this, end of December, as we were in that consolidation, I was making trades every time we hit the low of that consolidation, more or less. But let's say that I only really had, made maybe 15 trades in a week, like just different options. And I just bag held them until now, and I haven't liquidated any of them. And then I'll start to sell them the beginning of this week. So effectively, we're talking about scaling in over the course of 1 week, waiting about a month, and scaling out over the course of another week. Actually, it's going to be not even scaling out. It's going to be getting out of all of them in one day. So really, that's, to my mind, it's almost like 2 big trades, and that's it. And I don't know. I mean, that it's almost like on the longer time frames, I trade the longer time frames like I should be trading futures,
Yeah, right. Exactly. So the thing about futures is people, I'm not sure if they're thinking of it as like, hey, I've got 23 whole hours here to figure out how to make $200, and thinking of it that way. I'm not sure if people are thinking of it that way, but that's a long time, really, especially being in a futures trade. Because like my average futures trade, I'm like in it maybe for 20 minutes.
Damn, that's longer. That's longer than me. I'm usually
you're scalping. You're scalping E-mini.
Yeah. So I'll have
instead. You should be
I'll
scalping.
Be in a trade for like maybe 2 minutes tops.
Think about this: you're scaling in E-minis, and you're basically your nut is $200 a day, but you're scaling in essentially the equivalent of 10 micro contracts when you could just be scaling in micros. And that right there changed me too, because I was trading E-minis as well, and it's a wild ride trading E-minis for me, anyways. If you could scale into if you could scale into a single E-mini, that would be a lot more efficient, especially given what your goals actually are, than trying to scale in with E-minis.
The other thing, so I will periodically trade micros when I'm feeling off for the day, right? If I'm having a day where I'm like, damn, like, I still want to make my $200 or whatever, but I don't feel like confident for a full size. And what I've noticed about those micros is it almost feels as if time is going slower when you're trading a micro. Like you have more room to breathe and more room to think. And it's really nice.
And that may be why I'm in a trade longer, but it's because I can sit there in one contract and be like, okay, let's feel the market out real quick. And I'll go one contract, okay, and then you'll wait.
Literally look around.
I'll wait maybe 5 or 10 minutes in one contract to see if the market's going to do what I want it to do, and then as soon as I see it doing what I want it to do, then I'll start scaling in more. But going in with one full size of basically 10 contracts, 10 micros, which would be my full size, then now I have to have the market do what I want it to do. You know what I mean? Whereas if one contract's nothing to me. If it goes 10 points against me, what is that, $50? It's nothing.
Yeah.
So I can sit there and be like, well, let's see if the market's going to do what I want it to do today, what I think it should do. And then as soon as it starts acting the way it should, then you go up to full size. Then you start scaling in the full size. I would also say that, like for me, it's helped me a lot is scaling in. Like say it's dropping and I want to try to get in low a day. I scale in hardly ever. I hardly ever average down. And I definitely don't average down a full size. I'll average down like maybe 3 contracts. Mm-hmm. And by then the market better start doing what I'm expecting it to do, because I'm not going to go full size on the average down. Then I'll go full size average up.
Yeah, I was about to say I do that too, actually.
Yeah.
So like if it's going my way, I've made a couple of points, I'll grab another contract for the way up.
Right, and so you're scaling in as your trade is successful, and then knowing when to get out. That's a totally different thing. But that's helped me out a lot is using the micros because I do want to trade full E-mini, but you're trading a $50,000 account or $25,000 account, and it's really not even that. It's really just whatever your trailing stop is. That's how big your account is. Your account really isn't 50K. It's what is the trailing stop on a 50K?
$2,500.
Your account is a 2,500. You're trading full E-mini with a $2,500 account.
I mean, I've done what is it? I've done like 3 evals doing that, and I still have all the eval accounts open. So it's like I can do it, right? It's just stressful.
But why though? Why take on the extra risk when your goal could be hit using a more efficient method of using micros? And you might even just be better using micro like Qs.
Yeah.
Those move a lot better. So, it's like if you're bored trading a micro ES, it's the NQ is a lot more fun. But you know what I mean? Like, tailor the strategy. Like, there's no reason to be aiming for 2,000 a day on a 50K eval, because you don't even need to make that much. And you have to do it in 10 days. Really, you have 30 days before your next payment towards the account.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, at least with the ways that these guys are structured, if you want to get max payout by the end of the month, there's no reason to make $2,000 in a day.
Right, exactly. So if you have your own $1 million account and you want to make $2,000 a day, and you can take the money out every day, that's freaking amazing, right? Like, do it. But if you're just doing an eval, like a lot of folks that in our Discord that they're doing these evals, it's like, take the full 30 days. How much profit you need to make, divide it by 30, or divide it by how many trading days are left, or whatever. Because you don't even have to pay for that account again for another 30 days. And not to mention that you can't even pass the account until 10 days of trading. So if your goal is misaligned with what it should be, because they already basically told you what your goal is.
That's how all my evals went. Basically, I would usually pass the eval in 3 days, and then I would have to basically just flip a contract for the next 7 days or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyways, that's just kind of what I was thinking as far as, that's what's been helping me anyways, is you got 23 hours in a day. You got basically 10 to 30 days to pass the account.
Yeah.
How much can you pass the account trading 1 or 2 micros? Then you probably should only trade 1 or 2 micros. There's no real reason to do anything more than that. Now,
well, and
everybody's different. But
what's super ironic about this is that one of the reasons that I'm so good with the longer term account is because I'm distracting myself every day by trading futures.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, for sure. And
the original reason I started with futures was because I have another strategy on 0DTE SPX. And that strategy requires putting trades on at the beginning of the day and just leaving them until they close. And I didn't want to mess with it. So I started trading futures.
Yeah. I remember your strategy doing that. It was like a strangle at the open or something, or selling the at the monies at the open.
Yeah, it's a counterintuitive maneuver.
Yeah, I remember you were stressing out about it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was your day trade, and you were just like, I don't know how to leave it open. I don't know what to, and that's another thing too, where it's like, well, if this trade is causing you problems, if whatever setup you're trading out there is causing you issues mentally, like you just can't do it, just find something else that's easy. Like
or keep it and automate it, and
automate it so you don't have to look at it. Yeah.